Almost there. All right, we are up and going. Thank you everybody for being here. Much appreciated to spend your evening with the candidates for FYSA office at the AGM on Sunday. Just two quick reminders before I turn it over. As per usual, this session is being recorded. It is also live on YouTube currently. And secondly, all of the candidates for office have the ability to unmute themselves, but attendees do not have that ability. If you have something that you would like to add, ask a question, please type into the chat box that you want to be unmuted, or please just raise your hand on the Zoom chat and I will unmute you. With nothing further, I will turn it over to Catherine.
Thank you, Joel, and welcome everyone to the 2020 AGM Candidate Forum. Thank you as you have some patience with us tonight as we go through this new territory. I'm going to start at the region level, and each candidate will have about 5 minutes to introduce themselves and tell you why they would like to hold the position that they are nominated for. And there will be a short period of time for questions after each candidate. We will stick to a timetable for that as well, so that we can move along and have enough time for each of the candidates. So the first thing I want to do is that the first slide, which I hope that you all are seeing, is that these are these regional commissioners that have already been elected in each of the 4 regions. Well, the district commissioners in each region. There are 2 from Region C because there was a vacancy to fill, and you'll see that Ed Kenzie was appointed to that vacancy on July 25th. On the next slide, we have 2 regional vice presidents that are up for election. First is Region B. We have Mike Goodman and Rob Morton. I just went alphabetically with all these. So Mike Goodman, if you're on the phone or on the call, you have about 5 minutes to introduce yourselves to us at this forum.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get this thing started, I guess, huh?
Thank you.
All right. It's a little soccer time, even if we're not on the field. Okay. As it says, I'm Mike Goodman. I'm about as far north in Region B as you can possibly get. I live up in Fernandina Beach. Currently the commissioner of the North Florida Youth Soccer League, which is basically the larger Jacksonville area. I really wanted to jump in and see what I could do as a region vice president, because I've been working over the years. I've been commissioner for about 10 years. And during that time, there've been some interesting things that I've worked on, and I've worked with some really good people. One of them came up with the Region B Premier Division. It was one of the first times that I can think of where you actually had a soccer entity working with other soccer entities, and we weren't all worried about our own little turf. So I got together with BYSL, GCF, and the Region B Premier Division was 3 leagues, and it was trying to meet a need that the clubs had brought to me about trying to get some kind of a tiered type league where the teams, if they were doing better in their local leagues, then what would allow them to move up. And that's a lot of the feedback that I've gotten through the years with the clubs. How do we get our better teams to keep moving up the ladder? So this was the start of a structure. Lasted for about 3 years, tried to integrate a little bit more with FYSA, didn't quite work out. And then about that time, US Club kind of came in, so it kind of strayed. Also worked up in the Panhandle of Florida. They didn't really have too much structure up there. We tried putting together what we called NFY West, set up play weekends for clubs up in the Panhandle, because you got a 3-hour drive from Pensacola to Tallahassee. And we set up multiple games. Everybody traveled to one spot, because even now I'm hearing it. Travel is a big concern. So I'm looking to be the Region B Vice President to kind of solve some of those issues with travel, trying to get more localized type competitions that we can do. I mean, if you travel from one end of Region B to the other, meaning if I go from Melbourne to, Fernandina Beach, you're over 3.5 hours. That's too far to do any kind of reciprocating travel. I'll come to your place, you come to mine. One game, it's not going to work. Also, we need to rebuild and get some kind of a structure in the state that these teams can work themselves up from the local level and go up in that tiered type of structure. It seems like the larger clubs they got it made. They got ECNL. They got, MLS and MLS Elite and all. Well, what do the smaller clubs do? What do they do when they outgrow their local leagues? So we're looking at ways around the state and working with other leagues again to come up and help these smaller clubs that I think over the years have been left aside, and everything's gone more towards the bigger clubs with these larger leagues that are coming in. So I really think, as being a Region B Vice President, it'll benefit Region B, but it can benefit the whole state if we can get that good structure in there. And I think this year, there's a lot of new blood that's ready to come in, and I think we can make a big difference in FYSA and really go out and serve the base. And let's look at, getting with the clubs, getting that feedback in, and really be able to work and put a good product out there that all clubs can benefit from. And that is Mike Goodman.
Thank you, Mike Goodman. Does anyone have any questions for Mike at this time? If you do, raise your hand on the app. Is that correct, Joel? Is that the way to phrase that?
Yeah, they can either raise their hand or type something into the chat, and I'll unmute them.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mike? We'll give it a second. Oh, you're getting off too easy, Mike.
Hey, I was ready.
We may come back to you.
Okay.
Okay, we also have Rob Morton from Region B, also running for the vice president from that region. Rob, are you with us?
I am. Thank you, Catherine.
Good, great. Okay, you have about 5 minutes. Take your time and introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to introduce myself to this audience. A lot of you may not know me, even though I've been playing and working in the state in soccer for a long, long time. Born and raised here, started playing when I was 6. I don't want to date myself or Mr. Strickler, but I played for him at DOS back in the day, right? And so I'm currently now a USSF B license coach. I have been coaching for 15 plus years. I have 3 daughters who have played and have gone on to 2 of them in college now. I worked at South Orlando Soccer Club, if any of you interacted with us there, where I actually interacted with Mike through the Region B Premier League for a long time, for about 12 years. And just recently now I'm working with FC Prime Brevard and with a group of folks trying to bring a Liverpool Academy to the area. So I've worked in all facets. I've been a parent, I've been a player, I've been a coach. My personal life, I'm an entrepreneur and currently work in the software industry. And I just feel that experience, that well-rounded experience, brings a lot to the table. And I think that in this position in particular in Region B, right, where there's a lot of clubs going on, and Mike did a great job of kind of articulating some of the issues in the region, that there needs to be some diversity, right, with experience and with different perspectives, from the area and across the state. So it wasn't something I was thinking about running for until we left the Region B AGM. And I want to go on record and say that I have nothing against the Mikes, right? The 3 Mikes. I think I've worked well with them over the years. I think they're great guys. Like I said, I just wanted to bring a different perspective, a different voice from a different angle, rather than just have, guys who have all been working in leagues, if that's makes any sense to anybody out there. So I think my strengths are definitely in organization. I'm currently operations director at 2 different clubs here. And I think anyone who's worked with me over the years will attest to that. The organization, the communication, some of the strengths that I hope to bring to the group. I think FYSA has made really great strides in the last couple of years, especially with the leadership team that we have now. And I want to be a part of it.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Do we have any questions from the audience for Rob?
I've got a question in the chat. Chris, do you want me to read that aloud, or would you rather me unmute you?
I can see it too as well, Joel.
Yeah, yeah, you can go ahead and address it. Did you leave South Orlando on good terms? How many players at your new Liverpool club came from South Orlando? Have you ever been sued in action up to you?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. I've been addressing that over the last month or so. I did feel like when I left South Orlando that it was on good terms. I know that might have changed since then, and maybe not be on the best terms now with some of the leadership there. I don't know the exact number of players that played at South Orlando that are playing with Liverpool now. That's not my role with the club, but I know there were a few that came with some coaches who moved there. And yeah, have I ever been sued in action to youth sports? Not sure what that exactly means, but yeah, currently actually there is discussion between us, and hopefully cooler heads will prevail and the adults will be able to come together for the good of everybody and the kids in the state. That's what I'm hoping for.
Any other questions?
I see nothing else in there.
Okay, we can always come back at the end. We'll have time for additional questions as they might arise.
Sorry, there's a hand raised.
Go ahead.
Tianich, you should be allowed to unmute yourself now.
Hey, Rob, sorry, I never met you. I'm sorry if I'm asking this question. I don't know the answer to it. My understanding was at the last board meeting, the affiliation of Liverpool was tabled. Was that ever processed? Is Liverpool a club, or are you guys still pending the approval?
Pending approval. We met the current guidelines or the most recent guidelines, right, for a new affiliation. But then obviously that did get tabled because of this whole 15-mile rule. And I know we don't want to bring that up on this call, right, with all the differences of opinion on that one for sure. But yeah, still pending official getting our own FYSA.
And again, I apologize for not knowing the answer. I know there was 2 clubs on that meeting that applied for affiliation. One of them was within 15 miles and had issue, and the other one was outside of 15-mile radius. Which one is Liverpool?
Liverpool's home field is outside of any other club's 15-mile.
So whether the rule was passed or not passed, you were actually hurt by not having your affiliation approved at that time, correct?
Yeah. We thought we had done everything the right way, at least anyways, right, to get the application in, and then have tried to do everything above board since we had started this idea in the last 2 months. It's been a whirlwind.
Okay, and
I lost Tom.
Tom, you're muted again.
Tom, go ahead. You can unmute yourself. Tom, that's 100% my fault.
I knew I was going to be muted
purpose.
as fast as
Not
possible.
on purpose.
So I'm used to it. All right. So my last question: is there any good reason to call yourself Liverpool, Juventus, PSG, or any of these other names, rather than just advertising a club to be better than Mighty Ducks or Purple Rangers or something like that?
Yeah, I have an opinion on that. Joel, am I still my time here? It's all good to go. Yeah, because I could talk about this forever. Yeah, so we interviewed with a number of academies. It was kind of a tight window and a short frame, just to think as we're thinking about potentially starting a new club, right? I could tell you that we chose the one that we did because of the infrastructure that they have, and that the support that they have, and that the curriculum that they have, and the access that we have to top level. And I think if you are starting a new club, obviously having a name like arguably the most popular one in the world right now certainly doesn't hurt. That's just a good business decision.
Okay, any other questions? All right, let's move on. We also have a vice president up for re-election in Region D. She is unopposed, Sandy Leto.
I have a follow-up question. I typed it in. It doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
Joel, you got that one?
I do not see anything in the chat.
Well, how do I get it to you? I printed it out here. It's sitting in front of me. Do I click it and
just ask it?
At this point, you got
okay.
the floor.
Well, I didn't understand. I didn't understand the answer about the suit. Can you slow down and illuminate me a little on that?
Sure.
There was a question about a suit. You said, well, you're hoping it's not going to be a suit, or it's going to be a suit, or well, what does that involve? I don't understand. I didn't understand the answer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I can.
If you don't mind. Hey,
Of course. No. I think it's pretty.
I've been sued too, so don't worry.
Yeah. No. Yeah. There was a lawsuit filed in Orange County by South Orlando Soccer Club to myself for potential violation of a non-compete, and that's ongoing. But like I said, I hope that we'll be able to come together and sort that all out soon.
Okay, we good?
Fine.
Back to Region D. Sandy Leto is running unopposed. I think she was unable to be on the call tonight. The one thing I do want to remind everyone of is that the regional vice presidents for B and D, they are elected at the AGM. However, the votes are for their respective regions. So only Region D will vote for Sandy, and only Region D will vote for one of the candidates for Region B. So that's not a general population. Let's move on. We're in a similar situation with Michael Flood, who is the current Vice President of Administration. He is so far unopposed. If Michael's on the call,
Yep.
did you want to? You have your 5 minutes as well, Michael.
All right, I won't keep everyone too long since I'm currently unopposed. I came onto the board last year and taking over a spot from somebody, so I've only been on the board for 1 year, standing election again. My position is administration. I have, I have a law degree, so I'm involved in a lot of the risk management stuff and the administrative stuff side of it, the insurance and stuff like that, which helps me to understand that kind of stuff. Feel like I've been serving and working hard, and I'm proud to be part of FYSA. And one thing I do want to say is I am starting next year an effort to try to work the bylaws. I know some people on here have been part of that, and I welcome anyone that wants to be part of that, because the more grassroots that we can get to be part of trying to rework the bylaws, the better it will be. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve.
I have a question. Mike, where are we with those? I think you pushed that and said we're not going to make it for this year. I'm on that committee. And
yeah, that's right.
I didn't hear anymore. So that was the final conclusion, that we won't make this AGM, and
there was a meeting. There was a meeting. One of the AGM meetings was sort of the plan about how I intend to carry it forward. I will email you the link to that. You and anyone that wants to get the link to that video to see what the overall plan is. I don't want to take up too much time and go over it now, but the plan for the rewrite.
We are pushing it past this AGM. You're not bringing them forward at this. Okay.
Right. Thank you again.
Any other questions or comments about Michael? Thank you. Let's hope that stays and you remain unopposed, and that will be an easy election come the AGM. We're going to move to the treasurer candidates. We have two candidates in that race, Justin Goldman and Paul Van Steenbergen. Hope I pronounced that one right. Again, alphabetically, we're going to start with Justin if you're on the phone. Are you here?
I am. Thank you, Catherine. How are you doing?
Perfect. You got 5 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you. Good evening, everybody from lovely state of Florida here. So Justin Goldman is my name, and I'll give you a little bit of a backdrop of who I am personally, and then I'll kind of go into what you're seeing on the screen. So pretty much been a transplant Floridian for the majority of my life. Actually got into soccer playing down in Region A when I played for Margate Youth Soccer for a few seasons, and really enjoyed myself doing that. And kind of funny to see my kid follow some of those footsteps and play youth soccer himself. So I'm a proud father of a 15-year-old soccer player who's been playing competitively for the past 8 years, all within FYSA, kind of what got me involved in FYSA in its first place. So soccer for me has been both as a parent, did a recreational coaching as well, team manager, liaison for clubs to league. And then I ran a league for a couple of years as well with some people down here in Palm Beach County, and then propelled myself into being a part of the FYSA board itself for the state to try to further some positive momentum for youth soccer in itself. So been a Region A vice president now for a little over 2.5 years. Enjoyed my experience within Region A. Definitely a whirlwind of different demographics here in South Florida, and space obviously has brought us a lot of clubs down here. So can't ask for anything else from my Region A and the engagement that they provided for me. So I appreciate that as well from all my people. Prior to that, I was a Region A North Commissioner and served that role for a little bit of time as well before stepping up and going into the RVP role. And I feel like that my approach that I've had so far with FYSA has been one that's been approachable, unbiased, and really just trying to serve the membership the best that I can. And soccer has definitely been a big passion of mine. And being an athlete myself here in Florida, I'm no stranger to the youth sports landscape as well. So for my professional side, which really probably is going to be key for putting myself in the candidacy for the treasurer role, I've been working in the banking and financial services industry for over 21 years across 4 major banks. My day-to-day job essentially is very similar to what would be required of a treasurer. Within my roles that I've had, I've been investment licensed, so I'm able to give strategic advice from retirement planning and investment planning. Trained with cash flow analysis for helping out businesses figuring out how their cash works for them best, and making sure that their banking fits those needs. Lending is also part of that. I know the PPP program as well, that has been discussed before in one of our meetings. Certified in fraud and risk management prevention. So that's also very important for serving on a treasurer role for a nonprofit organization. And then also, from the management side, I've done managing for over 10 years. So managing staff and operating branch banks to P&L and adherences as well. So a lot of my experience is going to translate over well for a treasurer role. I feel like the career experience that I have and the experience that I've had on the FYSA board puts me in an area of expertise, so to say. I feel like I can handle the budgeting, the banking, forecasting, investment review, and then also the personnel committee oversight that usually comes with the treasurer role as well. Couple of things that I wanted to just say is what I would like to focus on as a treasurer. Eric Heidel has done a tremendous job as the treasurer for us recently. The last few years have been phenomenal. He's come up with different ideas and different things that we can continue to work on. One of which is we've discussed within our board meetings about Commissioner's Cup and how we can budget better for that. And it's just something that I would like to work on and figure out how I can carve out a piece for our commissioner or RVPs to be able to know what they can spend, how the event is handled, where all the expenses go, and just kind of clean that up a little bit, make it a little bit more transparent. Continue with financial oversight for reducing the excess expenses, since COVID-19 hit. It was a very interesting and challenging year for us, and I'd like to be able to continue helping with that, keep us healthy financially. Doing a comprehensive budget forecasting for 1, 3, and 5 years. So a lot of times I hear in some of these meetings that have been brought up that we don't forward plan for 1, 3, and 5 years out. So I think if we compose a budget to kind of align with that, that's going to help us as well, kind of steering, challenging times that we might face again from COVID-19 or anything else that might come at us. And then, the liability insurance cost management, trying to make sure that we continue to keep those expenses low. And then also, on the personnel side, I want to maximize the work-life balance for our staff, because those guys work tremendously hard. And a lot of times the free time doesn't amount to what they should get. And if there's ways that we can work on that on the personnel side, I would absolutely be all for that. And
minutes, Justin.
And then that pretty much sums up. I had one more piece, which was just college planning to bring out to the membership so we can bring something back. And that was it for me.
Thanks, Justin. We'll open it up for any questions for Justin. You see any, Joel?
Yeah, I got one question submitted to me anonymously. It says, in your professional life, do you deal with a bank that FYSA currently uses?
Nope, and I made it a point to make sure that there was no conflict of interest with that as well.
And another one here says, what is your view on giving back to Commissioner's Cup in the regions?
Oh, I mean, that's part of why I would like us to have a budget. I think it should be a much more fun environment, give back to the kids, making it fun. For years when I was working at a league with a couple of my peers, our tournament was a give back. So I would like Commissioner's Cup kind of look more towards that to celebrate the end of the seasons.
I've got a hand raised here from Shanoy. Shanoy, you should be able to unmute.
Yep. So for pretty much all the candidates, we kind of got, most of us have gotten your bios and your resume, for lack of a better term. But why exactly are you guys looking to be the treasurer? I mean, I'm not asking for your qualifications, but like, why do you want to do that position?
So for me, inherently, it seemed like a natural fit. I know Eric and I had spoke about it last year. If he ever decided that he wanted to not run, that I would love to be able to take over the position with him. For me, I love what I do. I mean, the volunteering is incredible. The camaraderie that we have when we get together, and just representing a quality organization like FYSA is something that I've been wanting to do, and continuing to do for many years, while my kids also, part of the organization.
And the other candidates?
Yeah, you good, Shnoy?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to hear from all three of the candidates, or was it just specifically for Justin? I'm sorry.
There is another candidate. Joel, did you have other questions?
Oh, yeah, I do. I didn't know if you were going to throw that one to Paul as well. I wasn't sure.
I'm going to ask that question to Paul, so I hope Shnoy stays on the line, but I will ask.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
There's another one in the chat box here that says, what are your ideas to cut costs? We need leaders to cut costs. Anyone can raise fees.
So I know we've actually done some cost cutting as well. I mean, as I get into the treasurer role, I'll be able to see more of the finances. But with my background in banking, like if I can find a way to cut banking fees down, that's going to be one that I'll tackle as well. Just the cost management of our insurance is also another big one that we've been dealing with for some time. And then the continuation of looking at, the expenses that we're getting as volunteers that Eric suggested earlier a couple of months ago, with how we are getting our mileage reimbursement and how our staff is doing stuff. So just continuing some of those ideas that we've got going right now.
I've got nothing else here.
Okay, we will have time to come back to these at the end, I do believe. So Justin, if you could hang on the line.
Thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome. Our next candidate for treasurer is Paul Van Steenbergen. Paul, are you on the line?
I'm on the line, Terry. Thank you.
Okay, I'm actually Catherine, but I use my.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Catherine, how are you? We've exchanged emails.
No, yeah, I'm using.
You don't look at all like your email.
No, I wasn't trusting my iPad tonight, so I went
Cool.
with this.
So I got it.
So you've got 5 minutes as well, and when you're ready, we'll start.
Yeah, there are two aspects of this position. I think the one is the technical aspects that Justin has talked about on his background. Mine is similar. I think I've got multiple degrees, undergraduate, graduate school. I was in a PhD program in economics. Virginia Tech, I worked under a Nobel Prize winner in economics. I've had an S Corp for 20 years and tremendously familiar with all of the financial, financial documents, P&Ls, balance sheets, etc. So that I have a deep background in on the information side as far as training and but I've also been an interpreter for to handle that. The other thing from the budget meeting, I've attended the last 3 AGMs where the program there that we go to. We deconstructed every year. I went we went into every single detail every year of what constituted the items in the budget and whatnot. Yes.
Can we hold on just a second? I think that there's a lot of static on the line. Are you hearing
Is that me?
I don't know where it's from. Joel, are you hearing any static?
I am hearing the static.
It says low system resources may affect your audio quality. What does that mean?
You might have a bad connection.
Yeah, your internet, Paul.
How about now?
It's good right now, and I apologize for interrupting you. If you want to, I'm not hearing you at all now.
Muting.
Okay.
Hey, Paul, you might want to, like you've done, stop your video and unmute yourself. That way, it might save you some bandwidth if you don't have video on.
All right. Let's do that. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
we can.
I can hear you. Let's try that.
All right. So anyway, it's probably better off not having to look at me anyway. So from a technical standpoint, I'm more than qualified to handle the technical role. And such a fine job getting everything lined up that there's nothing that has to be. There's no renumerative. There's nothing you have to go in and really change much of. I think he's got all of the financial information clean, transparent, and really well managed. So I don't think that that aspect of it is not the underlying numbers, but that's half of the job. What I'm more interested in my background is that is being on the board, being a voting member of the board. So my soccer background I've been around the soccer fields for 30 years. I've coached for 17 playing seasons. At a club, I started the Tarsa League. I started the girls program in Northdale in 1992 or so. I've been the president of 3 separate clubs and for a total about 10 years. I'm currently in my 5th term as a USA president, which is the Playing Coalition in C, the largest in C. So from the standpoint of soccer and understanding and being wired into the soccer community, I am, and it's that part of it. I think when we look at the last year's AGM, we see that there was a a disconnect between the members and the board. There was obviously a lot of issues that were brought up at that point, and I think we're continuing not to work out or not to see those issues. Among them, okay, that we've grown. The state has grown, say, in 10 years, 3 million people, and yet we're in the same spot we were 10 years ago. In fact, Region C is down 4,000, and I might even think B might be down a couple of players. I'm not sure. We don't have those. Had we had those information, we could analyze it. But the fact that we haven't stayed with it. We've got the greatest game in the world to sell, and for some reason we're not addressing whatever issue it is that's creating this shortfall. So one of the things I want to do on the board is starting to look at the issues that we have in front of us and really turning them over. And in my opinion, we haven't done a good job of that. We haven't looked at. We know, all of us, that the community club versus the youth soccer business is a huge issue. We're all in this association together, yet we haven't discussed it. We need an airing between everybody to see exactly what that means for all of us, where we're going with this, what we're doing with this. We haven't done anything. Nobody's mentioned it in years, and it's a huge issue. The fact that the referee issue is a problem, and we haven't stepped into that in full force. It seems like every soccer entrepreneur in America, it comes to Florida. We've got a plethora of leagues, camps, ID camps. I studied under free market guys. They were the James Buchanan was one of the great. Basically to play and use each other. So the pure go get them and let's just knock everybody else down doesn't work well for us. It isn't growing the sport. We've lost that edge, that question about what we need to do to grow the sport now. I think the fact is that when the bylaws got voted down last year, you could see there was a petulance among the members that we're not bringing to the fore these issues. I think the fact that FYSA was probably, the board was 2 or 3 votes away from the 2/3 majority of having having the leagues that they had established voted down. Yes.
I let you go a little bit extra because we were having some difficulties hearing you.
All right. Well, I'll wrap it up. So anyway, my interest, my biggest interest is really the financial part of it. No problem. Really, I am running because I want to be another vote on that board, and I want to be a questioner on that board, and I want to be someone on that board that's asking the questions that we need to and getting to solutions that we need, because obviously we're under siege, more or less, and there's no reason for it.
Okay, thank you. I am going to ask you to first address the questions that Justin was asked a few minutes ago. The first one is about any conflicts with financial institutions, and the second question had to do with why do you want this particular board position? Why do you want to be treasurer? And Shanoy, you're welcome to correct me if I misstated that question again. But if you could just address that.
Yeah, I think that I've been a treasurer of clubs. I've been for 10 years. I'm also treasurer of our HOA, which has got 1,500 members. So I'm comfortable in that position, and I think it needs to have somebody at the head of it that has a fairly stable view of what needs to go out and what doesn't. What's useful expenditures and what aren't useful expenditures. And I think that the treasurer can at least bring it to the fore to ask those questions. I think Eric's done a great job in managing it. Now we got to direct the resources, more properly, in my opinion. That A. B, like I said, the second part, Shanoy, is I think I want to be part of the board voting, because I think we really need to start digging in a little bit and understanding what we're facing here, because the stagnation we've had for 10 years and now we've got everybody but I don't know who, Barcelona, in our state, and looking to make more money. We got nothing but entrepreneurs looking to make some money out of Florida because they feel like it must be a fat cow. They must see us as the way to their financial future. And it's a plethora. I mean, we must have 15 leagues. We've got academies, we've got clubs, and I think we at FYSA need for our members to sort through that and see exactly where we are. If it is, if in fact we need to go back and say, all right, we're going to become 90% recreational and 10% select, then so be it, if that's what makes sense for the membership, for the people that are part of this. I think that the leagues met last year with John. There were 5 or 6 of us. We had between us probably 2,500 kids, close to 40,000 players, 2,500 teams. And yet we didn't, we didn't seem to get anywhere. We were trying to form, to bring the base together tighter. And we just didn't seem to get that across. And it's to our detriment, to the state's detriment. So Shanoy,
ask Joel now if he's had any other questions come in. We're running up on time a little bit on that one.
All right.
Joel, I think you did get another question in the chat.
There is another one here. Why didn't you run for president? If your desire is to change the direction of FYSA, wouldn't it be a better position to make changes that you desire?
Yeah, I think two reasons. One is that I had a member of my board, the USA board, who I thought was just an infinitely qualified guy, decide to run for president. So I thought, well, that's great. That's fun. Years, and that's enough. The treasurer's job, I think, fits me better, and that's it. I think the president's got to have more psychic energy than I've got right now to pull this, to lead. We really need some eclectic thinking up on that board, and the president's got to start with the president. I just don't think I've got that kind of psychic energy. So that's why. And secondly, we have a guy from Region C that is just, terrific. And I can't see it being a better candidate than him.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Anything else, Joel?
Joel, I have a quick question for both candidates, treasurers. There's been much made and discussed about the stagnation. Paul, I think you said there's 600,000 new soccer players that we should have had in our organization.
Well, yeah, that's just running down from 3 million. If you've got 3 million people, 20% of them are going to be in that age group. So we had a 600,000. In 10 years, we've had 600,000 kids in the ages to play soccer.
Totally. All right. So, but here's my question for you. You mentioned the free market economy, your background in economics. Do you think that in the 12 years that the 15-mile rule has existed, do you think that had any factor whatsoever on the ability for FYSA to grow?
John, I'm not smart enough to answer that. I'll tell you why. Where we are, I can only see what I can see from where I So it wasn't, nobody was restricted. There were loads of clubs kid and see. Now, when you get down to Braden River and Cape Coral, it may have been a little bit different. But where I saw it from, which is elsewhere, John.
Well, I'm going to come back to you in a second.
Yeah, Paul, we couldn't hear much of what you said, unfortunately.
I'm going to come back to you in a second. I was going to let
Thank you for that.
same question. John asked the question of both candidates. Justin, are you there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay. Do you remember? Did you hear the question?
So I think, John, you were talking about, do we feel like the last 12 years of the 15-mile rule has stagnated our growth? Correct?
Well, I mean, is it even a factor? Would it have mattered if we didn't have 15-mile rule? Would it have made a difference?
All right. Okay. I think that there may have been some impact throughout the state that may have restricted clubs and teams and coaches going to other organizations. But I'd be pressed to say that I think that 600,000 kids would all sign up to play soccer when we have so many other competing sports out there. Our membership could grow some for sure, but not at those stagnant numbers that we're sitting here saying 600,000 youths that would have been here over the past so many years.
No, that's a potential. That's the market, Justin. That isn't. I wouldn't think we'd have 600,000. If we got a certain percentage of that, we should have gotten 50,000. That's my point.
Okay, Joel.
Do you want to go with one more? Or do you want me to move on? There's a couple in the chat.
Can you hear me?
Now we can. Yep.
Okay.
It's in and out, Paul. Quite frankly.
Jesus, that's amazing. All right.
Shanoy's question, I'm going to ask of everyone at the end, so we can hold Shanoy's subsequent question, if that's okay with you, Joel.
You're running it. Your show.
All right, well, let's move on for now, and let's get the president candidates.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, so going alphabetically, the first candidate for president is John Stacy. No, I'm sorry. It's Daragh Cullen. Daragh?
Hi, Catherine. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Good evening, all. First and foremost, hope you're all well in these unprecedented times. Thank you all for joining the call tonight. I look forward to interacting with you. I'm Daragh Cullen, your current VP of Player Development for FYSA, and I'm running for president of FYSA at the upcoming virtual AGM. Given these uncertain times, now more than ever, FYSA needs experience, stability, transparency, and strong leadership to take FYSA forward. Given my extensive background, some of which you can see on your screen, such as being a president of a club, a VP of a state, director of a tournament, I've represented our state on a national level. I'm a nationally licensed coach and current player and father of 4. I'm confident I'm your right choice. We have a lot of challenges ahead of us, but first and foremost, everything that we do should be player first decision making, 100%. It's about the player on the field, these kids having fun. We have to ensure that every child in our state has a fun, safe learning environment. That's key. It's paramount. Our partnerships. I want to work with the leagues. I want to sit down and have a league summit with all of the leagues. I want to work with the FLSRC to improve their structure, to grow and develop the pool of referees in our state. It's definitely an issue. Currently, I have been working with some of the staff on an FYSA sponsorship package to help promote our programs, scholarships for our families in need. This also can be mirrored within your clubs and your leagues to help raise funds. And definitely I want to work, with all the clubs in the leagues there to help grow your membership and then ultimately the membership of FYSA. I think the communications with FYSA have definitely improved, again, with the hiring of Joel Dragan. But it can be better, and we all know that. Again, I'm all in favor of the monthly virtual town hall, our monthly board meetings being streamed live. I think we need to do a better job of telling our story, the FYSA story. I love the idea of a monthly podcast. Actually, I have a friend of mine in Miami that does it. Whether we choose to go with him or anyone else, I'm fine. I'm open to that. But I definitely think, again, we need to tell the story. I would love to bring back or renew the FYSA, the header magazine, to highlight our clubs, the leagues, the players, and our referees, and all of our programming within the state. Excuse me. With regards to clubs, I want to straight down grassroots. I want to work hand in hand with the clubs. Over this past several weeks, I have reached out to a lot of clubs, and I hear you. I hear your concerns. I hear the good. I hear the bad, and I need to hear that so I can take us forward. Again, I have the experience to take us forward. I've been here before. I'm a new voice. I've just recently come to this board last year. I want to grow our membership, and I want to help you with any issues you might have. I know, especially down in Region A with municipalities where you've got fields on top of fields, and you can't get the fields because lacrosse or what have you. Our rules are outdated by 35 years, and definitely want to work with the committee. I know there, Mike had said there that that's going to be something he's going to tackle. I am going to work with that committee. I want to put something before the membership to review, and definitely get this thing going, get it right. That's me for now. I'd love any questions.
Thanks, Daragh. Are there any questions yet for Daragh?
I've got a couple in the chat box here. This one I'm going to guess we're going to want to ask of all of the candidates, but it says, what specific changes would you make to the referee association leadership positions as president?
Again, I have to get in and see. Currently, I believe that it's the president and the past president. So currently, John Stacy Marino Torrance, with the president of SSSA, which is Richard Moeller, and I believe Nick Calabro, and then of course Abram Douglas. So again, I'm coming from the adult side, as well as I have a great working relationship with both Richard and Nick and Abram. So again, it's getting in and seeing where we can fix this. What can FYSA do to help grow, develop these referees, and enhance the programming? For the most part, yeah.
Jen DiTilio wants to be unmuted. Jen, go ahead.
Hi. Okay, Daragh, during the Regency AGM, there was a list of agents of records that was displayed, and your name showed up next to Lakeland Football Club. So my question to you is, first, you told us several times that you were no longer involved in a club. You resigned 10 months ago, and that you ensured that you were removed from that club. So how did that happen?
Jennifer, I actually saw that myself, and if I'm not mistaken, that's last year. I am not listed as any agent of record. I hold a position with Lakeland Tropics Football Club. I'm a coach, 2004 Girls Showcase team. That's it. I have there's no previous past president position with Lakeland Tropics. I make no decisions for that club. Again, only as a head coach for a girls team. Again, you can look. I'm happy, Joel, if you want to log into Got Soccer and show everyone, I'm happy about that. That's fine. If you want to show them the Tropics page.
Was that an old list that the office provided to the region commission, the region RBP at the time?
It's last year's, because you're going by last year's votes, Jennifer.
Yeah, so the vote counts go to the previous year's vote totals, because we have generally when they land, they are the vote totals from the previous year that are used at the regional elections. So that's would likely be where it came from. I got a couple people asking if we can check in Got Soccer. I'm not sure if that's really appropriate.
Joel, I've talked to Yadira Holmes or whatever you got. I can print off. You tell me what you want, I'll show it to you. Again, nothing to hide here.
I have another question, Daragh. In the 10 months that you've been on the board, you have attended every Top Soccer conference call that we've had. How many, and you've also told me that you have attended every committee meeting with your group. How many times have you given the board an update on your committees?
Jennifer, there's an error in that. I actually missed, if you remember, the last Top Soccer meeting due to a work function.
That's true. I'm sorry. I misspoke. I
okay.
apologize.
That's fine. With regards to updates, yeah. So the tournament committee, that's been one of the ones that was been most active. We're working on some fees to restructure some of the fees. So again, I had to report that back to the board, and again, that's of course now part of the rule change for Sunday. With regards to the recreational committee and the coaches committee, there was updates given to the board at actually one of our in-person meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I would defer to either Catherine or John on it. I do have the information pulled up here.
If they want to show it, let it be shown.
All right. Now you're gonna make me switch screens.
And you could also be prepared to do the same for the other candidates.
Lakeland Tropics Football Club, their agent is Ernie. Primary.
His name was on the bottom of the list.
Agent of record is Daragh.
Daragh Holmes.
Sorry, I'm
cool.
Let me get back to the
Thanks,
other
Joel.
screen.
Thank you. Are there any other questions of Daragh? Excuse me, Joel. Daragh?
Oh, geez, yeah, there's a lot in the chat here. Yeah, we did check that record. Privately, Daragh, do you draw a paycheck from Lakeland Football Club?
I'm a coach. I get paid $6,000 for the season. I declared that on my on the form that I filled out there at the AGM last year.
Board of Director members are allowed to coach for FYSA affiliates.
I've got Shanoy's hand raised. I assume you want to be unmuted, Shanoy. You may now.
That's correct. I mean, can we just have the same questions asked for all the other candidates and have their disclosures up in terms of what clubs they belong to?
I've got soccer access. I can certainly show it if Catherine and John support it.
I'm fine with that.
For consistency's sake, I think you should.
Right.
Let's see here. Another one. What one item will you be trying to implement? Not meetings, podcasts. What are you implementing to grow the membership?
Again, I come from a sales background, so I'm more hands-on. I want to be. Again, I understand the current climate that we're in. I think the town halls have been received tremendously well by our membership. But again, reaching out and speaking with the membership over this last 3 weeks, there is a disconnect. There are some people that are happy, and that's fine, and they're in their world, and that's great. That's excellent. But again, it's how can we help? Again, I'm more of a hands-on approach. What can we do to help? And that's it. Whether it's your programming, again, we have competitors that are out there offering X, Y, and Z leagues. How can I work with our leagues? How can I work with our clubs for to enhance their programming to make it better?
That seems to be everything in the chat as far as questions go.
Thank you all.
Shanoy,
we're going to get to Shanoy's last question. Probably we're going to ask that question of all candidates.
I wasn't sure if I lowered his hand or not, so.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Let's move on. Going alphabetically, the next candidate is Marino Torrens. Marino, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
There you are. Okay, you have 5 minutes to introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to be president.
Okay, as most of you know, Maria Torrance, past president of FYSA. Like you see there, I'm a current member of the FYSA Board of Directors. I think with all the changes that are going on, and believe, you know, in my soul that I am the right person, that I have the experience to lead FYSA for the next couple of years. I'm ready to answer some of the questions that, and sorry, Daragh, that you got the questions first, and the next two of us, the both of us now had time to think about them, but that's fine. The question that I was asked about the numbers and all that stuff. Listen, FYSA has been around over 100,000 players every year, except this, of course. This year it's going to be a little bit short, but that's outside of anything that we can do. I'm ready to work, to continue to work with the recreational part of soccer, where we started doing the FYSA bucks for the recreational program. We started doing, during my time as president, we started the FYSA Foundation to give money back to the clubs. Continue to work on that. Work hand in hand with Mike and our new recreational director, Goodman. I think he's doing a great job, but he had to get to know our state first, and had to get some of the coaches to get licensed in order to go outside and teach recreational soccer. When it comes to the so-called 50-mile rule that has been around forever, I was never asked to remove it when I was president. And I don't believe, you know, in hindsight, everything is fine. I don't believe I would have done it, because the membership voted for it. We're here to support with the membership. We voted in by the membership. I did defend it when it came down to a hearing that we had for a reaffiliation that we denied. We lost. We had to give them back the affiliation. While I've been sitting on the USYS board, we had a couple of other ones that, the most recent one in Colorado, with the use player numbers basically instead of a mile rule, and the federation ruled against it also. And there were, you know, the new club was allowed. I'm ready to work with the membership to figure out a way where we can defend the current members against new ones coming in. It's not going to be easy, but I'm willing to work, and I'm willing to listen to. I've got a couple of maybe opinions about it, but again, it's a board of directors, and we got to do what the membership is asking us to do. That's why we elected by the membership, but we're here to support the kids that play the game. Any other questions that I might have missed? I don't know, Catherine.
Thanks, Marino. I was going to wait till the end for this, but it seems to be coming up. So I know that you're aware of the conflict of interest rule. I know that you're aware that of FYSA Board of Directors cannot hold any elected office within any other FYSA affiliate. Do you have any conflicts, and do you have any positions with which you would have to resign should you be elected president?
If the rule that Mike proposed doesn't get, I'm a registrar from the club down here. I'm also a referee assigner and a referee for multiple clubs. I don't know, I don't think referee assigning, it's a conflict of interest, but yeah, if it comes down to it and I got to resign as a registrar, I'm a volunteer registrar. I don't get paid. I don't get paid for anybody except hardly ever get paid for referee assigning anyways. I do it for the fun of it. Yeah, I still, a few years ago, I was in the chair of the rules committee there. The rules committee was asked a few times what they interpret from an interpretation with the rule. And they said, as long as you're wearing a voting member of any club, that you have no decision making on any club, that you were you could still serve the board of directors. Now, if they're going to go by the letter of the law and you can only coach, then yes, I will have to resign if I get elected.
Okay, thank you. Joel, questions that you're getting?
Was there any other questions that Daragh had to answer that I missed, except?
I guess the big one is, what one item will you be trying to implement, not meetings or podcasts, et cetera? What would you implement to grow membership? Everyone says they hear the clubs and affiliates, but how specifically?
Well, I have to see what Mike Goodman had done with the recreational part of it. What is he doing and what can I help him? Because I believe that in order to increase our numbers, we have to help the recreational part of it. The competitive part is there, and they have the alphabet leagues out there and organizations. The parents always think that, there's a saying that the grass is greener on the other side until you get there and you realize it wasn't that green. We've been lucky in Florida that with the numbers that I've seen in other states have declined by a lot. Ours have stayed pretty even over the years. Yes, there's a lot of people coming in, but they don't all play soccer. And again, some go, some come, but we've been very lucky when you compare to the rest of the states out there. We're one of only 3 states in the whole Southeast United States that gets over 100,000 players every year. And one of them, South Texas, lost it for a few years, and now they're coming back. So I have to work. We have to work with the recreational programs. And again, I have to see what Goodman has done over the year because I haven't been there in 2 years. So, and work with him and Mike in order to improve our recreational part.
I think the first one that was asked to Daragh was actually about the referee association leadership. What specific changes would you make to the referee association leadership positions as president?
I was lucky enough, or unlucky enough, however you want to say it. I had to replace the SRA when I was president. And I believe in with all my heart that the person that we got in charge of the referees right now is the right person for the job. I think Abram Douglas has done a great job with it. Tim Fowles is a great person to be on the board. And what Daragh had mentioned before, that the members of FYSA is the president and past president. No, it's not correct. According to the Federation, it's the president of the U and his appointee. Because I was president before, when John got elected, they decided to leave me in there because I've been very involved with the referees for about 20 years now, 15 years. So they decided to leave me in there. Also, the president of the adults and his designee, and then the 4 members, the SRA, DRA, and the other 2, I can't remember the referees.
Okay, I got a couple more here. What are your plans to improve recreational soccer? Not just waiting for Mark, but your plans. I think they're asking for more specifics.
Well, I want to see what he's done to see what I can help him with. If he's done something that hasn't been implemented yet, and I think it's the right thing to do, help him do it. Continue with the FYSA Bucks. I think that helps a lot of the recreational programs. And again, I have to sit with Mike and see what he's planning on doing, what he's been doing for the last year and a half. I just can't say something that might be against something that he's trying to do. He's got a lot more experience when it comes to recreational soccer than I do.
Okay. Here's one as well from, I don't know if I should read them. What about your USYS position? Does USYS limit participation at the state level?
You mean if I get elected? Yeah, I will have to step down from my USYSA position.
All right, and sorry guys, they're sending me a lot here.
Oh,
I hope they're all clean though. No, the only ones go to Daragh.
There's certainly a lot of questions, Catherine, about the 15-mile rule. Do you want to save that maybe for all the candidates at the end? I'm seeing several questions to me about the 15-mile rule.
At 7:10, I want to make sure we get the last candidate at least his 5 minutes. And then we can come back to some of the questions that need to be addressed to all of the candidates, if that's okay with everyone.
That's fine with me.
Marina, you're okay if we move ahead?
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Kai Velmer, have I pronounced that correct?
Yes.
Final president?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I hear you and I see you. You have 5 minutes to introduce yourself and tell everyone why you want to be president.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Kai Velmer and I'm running for FYSA president. As part of my candidacy, I've provided a 14-point plan built on transparency, efficiency, integrity, growth, fairness, and inclusion. I'm getting involved to offer solutions and change the culture, which will allow the game to grow and run smoothly so that everyone can enjoy it and experience all the opportunities our game has to offer. But my campaign platform is not just about transforming and improving FYSA. Instead, there is a bigger vision, and that vision is to make FYSA the model association of USYS, an association after which other states look to model themselves. We will not just grow the game in our own state, but will have an impact across state lines. We have a fantastic executive director in place, supported by a talented and hardworking staff at FYSA. Since I started my journey to run for FYSA president, I have gotten to know many knowledgeable, committed, and hardworking people who are part of FYSA various affiliates, clubs, and leagues. I see significant potential for what we can achieve together. I hope that membership will allow me the opportunity to lead this fantastic association and implement my 14-point plan that will put the game and players first. Thank you for the opportunity this evening, and together, let's grow the game in our great state. For more details on my plan, please visit my website at kaiforfysapresident.com. Thank you.
I guess we can start with the questions.
I had muted myself. I apologize. I did, Joel, want to start with those general questions, primarily about conflicts of interest, whether the proposed rule passes or not, how each manner would affect you, and if there are any positions with which you would have to resign so that you would be an eligible board member and be able to serve on the board of directors.
Okay, I would not resign any positions which I don't hold voting positions. I am a—
Joel, your screen is showing, sir.
Got it.
Can I go on?
You're good.
Okay. As far as resigning any positions, no, I don't have a voting position. I am an independent contractor. And according to the Rules Committee, I am in line with how any other board members have been there before, holding independent contractor positions. And I also disclosed that information on my information before I joined, when I joined the board. And so I was upfront with my position at that point.
So you don't hold an elected position, so that would not apply to you? Is that what you're saying?
No, I do not hold a elective. No, I don't hold a voting position, no, on a board.
Elected position.
Elected position, no.
All right, Joel?
The first one that came in for all the candidates, I believe, was about the referee leadership. I'm struggling to find it here, but referee leadership, what would you do as president?
First, I will need to find out, which I think all of our members would like to find out. How does FYSA interact with FSR? I do not know that detailed information, and find out, and how, what kind of resources can we provide FSR if they're needing. Again, I don't know enough about the interaction between FYSA and FSR. I know we have a seat at the table, but what that actually means, I don't know. And until we find out, and until I find out, I can't. It's definitely an area we need to improve on. But we need to. There needs to be transparency. Number one, our membership needs to understand what FYSA's role is in conjunction with FSR, and then go from there.
The second one was about specific things that you would do. It says not meetings, not podcasts, specific things that you would implement that you would do differently.
Okay. Yes. In my 14-point plan, obviously there is one it's called Grow Girls Soccer and Women in Coaching Committee. I know that in many areas we're seeing the decline in women's soccer, and that would be to create a committee that we could comprise of members and representatives from the Orlando Pride and college coaches and youth coaches and directors, and develop a campaign to promote girls soccer. And the committee would also explore ways to promote and encourage more women in coaching. So that is one way to increase membership. Create a diversity and inclusion committee, and we need to look at. I got a great response to that committee. To that point from a member is to, is there ways that we can reach out to underprivileged communities that might not be affiliated with FYSA, and reach out to them and provide, coaching courses in Spanish. There's certain programs there in my 14-point plan that would look to increase membership.
Let's see. Here's one. Kai, if elected, how do we know that you would stay on the BOD if the BOD does not agree with your ideas, as you did not complete this year on the BOD?
Okay, well, the reason I don't want to turn this into, I will be committed to my 2-year term, even if the board does not agree. But if I do get elected, that means the membership would in favor of a 14-point plan and to implement that plan. So I don't want to make this a negative, conversation at the moment about why. You can listen to my podcast, and I explained why I left the board. So we'll leave that at that. But again, I will not leave, and I would not resign from my position.
Okay. And then, yeah, just a few more about 15-mile rule.
The 15-mile rule?
Well, I think that Catherine is going to throw that out to everybody. Maybe.
Okay.
Well, I was just going to ask all of the candidates that we've heard from tonight if we wanted even to open up that issue here. I think there is a proposed rule change for that, for the AGM. So people that are running for an office will not be in a leadership position by the time you vote for that rule to adopt it or not adopt it. But I still think, if we have time, and I think we do, to give each of the candidates like a minute to, and I really mean a minute, to talk about the 15-mile rule and where you might be on that. I'm gonna leave that one to John and Joel. What do you think?
I think it'd be a good use of our last 9 minutes here.
Okay. Well, now we're going to go in the opposite direction. So why don't we start with you, Kai? We'll go back down the other way.
Regarding the 15-mile rule, I'm not a fan of the 15-mile rule. Personally, I think it's not in the best interest for the game. I think we should have criterias to what an affiliation might look like. I don't think we should judge an affiliation just because of a number. There are plenty of current soccer programs out there that are serving their community and are doing a great job, that just because of a mileage rule are not allowed to join our fantastic association. And so that's where I stand on that. I think we should have criterias, but not a mileage rule.
Marino?
I'm in favor of the 15-mile rule because the membership voted for it and they wanted it, and they had defended it for the last 12 years at every single AGM that I've been to, and I've been to all of them. But it has to be adjusted a little bit. Maybe one of the things that I had in mind, and you know, I'll throw it out there, is maybe instead of a 50-mile is that the new affiliate may not put a club in the primary field that other clubs are already using. For instance, I know for a fact down here, like Amelia Earhart Park, Kendall Soccer Park, you got 10 different clubs using it at the same time. So, you know, something like that, and other things that I have, but we don't have that much time to talk about it here. If I get elected, I will bring it up to the board, and maybe we can do something as a board.
Thank you. Daragh?
Again, I am opposed to the 15-mile rule, but I definitely think that there needs to be a criteria set out to join FYSA. Yes, as much as I and the board and staff, and I'm sure everybody on this call want our membership to grow. It's been talked about here this evening multiple times about growing the membership and the numbers in the state of Florida. Absolutely 100%. How can we say no to kids playing the game? Bottom line. But again, we have got to come up with a criteria to where I do agree with you, Marino, where clubs aren't on top of each other with regards to using other fields and what have you. They should be able to stand alone and again grow. And then that's part of where I go back to working with the clubs to enhance their programs. Again, again, people don't, okay, they might go, it's Barcelona or it's this or it's that. A lot of the times they're running for, it's alphabet soup. It's a spider web in our state. It's not a pyramid. They're running for the next big thing. So again, we gotta help the leagues, or sorry, the clubs, enhance their programming, and then put forth this criteria as to what it's going to look like to be a member of FYSA, and that's it. And then that's where the growth is going to happen and again, holding the hand of these clubs.
Thank you. Moving to treasurer position, Paul. Are you with us, Paul? Justin Goldman?
Yes, Catherine, I'm here.
Okay. Do you want to respond to the question?
Yeah, no, absolutely. As we receive feedback that the 15-mile rule in our bylaws conflicted with what our current bylaws are, I'm going to stand in that opinion that I think that we should, remove the 15-mile rule because it is a little bit restrictive. However, just as everybody else was saying, there's got to be some sort of guidelines. I'm not going to say criteria or restriction, but guidelines to bring in clubs that are going to add value, because that's what we want to do. We want to add value to youth soccer. And I think if we can come up with something that's solidified by everybody's input, I think we can make something that actually works and progressively moves us forward for youth soccer and getting more kids playing the game. I think is what we need to focus on.
Okay, thank you. Mike Flood?
So first thing I'd like to say is that I believe in the democratic process. And if the membership votes whatever way, the board has a fiduciary responsibility to do what's right. That said, I strongly do not support the 15-mile rule. I will work against it. you know, I mean, I will work towards getting it voted down, but if it gets put in place, as a member of the board, I will do what the membership wants. But I think that rule is, the spirit of our organization is inclusiveness. And the rule should bend towards trying to bring people in. And I believe right now that rule is exclusive, not inclusive. And therefore I support ending that rule. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's move Region B, Rob Morton. Are you still with us?
Yeah, Catherine, I'm here.
Thank you.
Was there a specific question or just kind of closing thoughts?
It's the specific question is on your feelings on the 15-mile rule.
Yeah, obviously I could make points for both ways, but I think some of the candidates have said it well. It is restrictive. It has hurt our growth. There needs to be some guidelines definitely put in place so that you don't have just, you know, one team forming a club, right? There should be a commitment from them for a longer term. And if they meet the goals that we as the leadership set that we're trying to reach, then we should allow as many kids as we want to play the game.
Thank you. Mike Goodman?
Yep, I'm here. I do not agree with the 15-mile rule. If it was that good, I think every other state in the union would have it. Also, my understanding is we couldn't defend it if it was challenged in a court of law down here in Florida. Regardless of what the membership wants, us as a board and those running it as an organization defending it, we can't let that go on. We have an affiliation process. Maybe changing some of that criteria would help, but I think we need to open up soccer for more kids.
Okay, thank you. Joel? We have any other last minute questions we could ask anyone who may want to answer it?
It asks for, I don't know if you want to go through, there's one in here that asks about US soccer and their platforms and what they push to the states. Somebody is asking that it go to everybody. I don't know if you want to take that on or not.
We have 1 minute, so I probably am going to say no, unfortunately. We have 1 minute left. I think we've given everybody an opportunity. That question would probably have to wait. I don't know what the format is for Sunday, if they'll have an additional opportunity to say anything.
Catherine, each candidate will have to be nominated, and the person nominating them will have 1 minute to talk about their nominee. That's based on our rules, and then the candidates themselves will have up to 5 minutes each to address the membership.
Okay, then we can defer that one to the AGM if it comes up again, if it's important enough that someone will ask the question again. I want to thank everyone. I especially want to thank Joel and John, and especially Jared.
Hey, Catherine, make sure there will be no question and answers on Sunday. So anybody's got questions, I would suggest getting them, emailing them to the candidates, and allowing for the candidates then to prepare in their remarks the ability, they would then have the opportunity to answer those.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I had not planned to say that, so thank you very much for saying it. I didn't want my recognition to get overlooked, but I do really want to thank Jared, because I know he does a lot to pull all this together. So any other parting comments, John or Joel?
Thank you, Catherine, for moderating this tonight. Thank you to the candidates for being engaged, and look forward to seeing everyone on Sunday at 11 a.m. for the AGM.
Thank you. I think everyone came prepared and ready to talk, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate everyone's effort. Thank you. This meeting is concluded.